You might believe it's confidence that you need. What's going to make the difference? Going to make the difference in making that sell, growing the business, getting the girl. What might make the difference in being liked and respected? You might believe that it's confidence that you need in order to make the difference in the world that you know you were born to make. I'm here to tell you that it's not confidence that you need. Whew, what a relief. There's only one simple daily practice that you need in order to make the difference. And luckily for you and I, it's a hell of a lot more accessible than confidence. I'm going to tell you exactly what that daily practice is and how you can implement it in your life today. But first, a story about how an everyday department store employee changed the world forever. On December 1st, 1955, a 42-year-old seamstress, tired from the day's work at the department store, boarded a bus to make her way home. This seemingly was no different than any other day she'd gotten on the bus, and really she was no different than anybody else getting on the bus, or really no different than you and I. Along the journey, as they made stops, the bus got more crowded. As the bus crowded, this woman was asked to give up her seat to a man. A white man. She refused. In a decision that she knew most likely had grave consequences to herself, to her community, she refused. I'm sure full of fear and anxiety of what this could mean, she still refused. That day on that bus, Rosa Parks was arrested for her action, for her stand that she took, for the decision to not give up her seat because of the color of her skin. This decision and action by Rosa Parks was one of the major events that kicked off the civil rights movement. There's a very specific reason that I remind you of this story of Rosa Parks. It's because I don't believe that it's confidence that she had that day that drove her to take that stand. I believe it was this simple daily practice of courage. So if we don't really need confidence, we only need courageous action. To me, that begs the question, to be able to understand how I apply that, it begs the question, well, what's the difference between confidence and courage? And in order to understand that, we must understand the nature of fear. I love what the great psychologist and philosopher Carl Jung said. He said, where your fear is, there your task is. I take this to mean two things. The first one is that our fear is an indicator light. It's a place to pay attention. Our fear can be an indicator of where we need to act. Now, of course, I'm not talking about fear around physical safety, not being harmed. I'm talking about the fear of losing our beliefs. I'm talking about the fear of not taking a stand when it's meaningful. When we feel that fear, that's the place that we need to lean in. That fear is beckoning to us, inviting us to take courageous action. So when Jung says where your fear is, that's where your task is. That's the opportunity. That's the indicator. That's the invitation for you to take courageous action in that moment. The second thing I take from Jung's quote is that there's always fear where we start. What most people mean when they talk about confidence is they talk about bold action without fear. But the thing about it is that fear is almost always there, especially when we're starting. When we're taking bold action for the first, second, third, 30th, 50th, or 100 times, fear can still be present. So that would mean that we're not confident. But if fear is the indicator and it's showing us where the courageous action is needed, then we actually don't want to get rid of the fear. I don't know about you, but I can often convince myself that I don't need to start or don't want to start until I feel the confidence in the action. The problem is that this is where dreams go to die because we're waiting for the confidence, but it's never there in the beginning. So do you remember the question that I brought up earlier? What's the difference between confidence and courage? Well, as I stated just a minute ago, confidence is bold action with no fear. Courage is bold action in the presence and with the fear. So I would assert, in order to start anything meaningful, we must take courageous action, not feel confident. Courage is where we start, and confidence is where we end. As promised in the beginning of the video, I'm going to talk about how I've applied courageous action into my everyday life. And I also described it as a simple daily practice. Don't conflate simple with easy. It is simple. It's not easy. In fact, some of the ways that we can be courageous in everyday life are the most simple. As I was thinking about ways that I've discovered courage in my own life, I was making the list and I was thinking to myself, these are almost too simple to talk about. They seem so small, yet they make such a huge difference. So here are some of those ways. Ask for forgiveness in any wrongdoing or where you've broken your word, broken a promise. Ask for forgiveness. Don't just say, I'm sorry, write it off, try to get the weight off your shoulders. Actually, if you want forgiveness, if you want relationship with the other person, ask them if they will forgive you. That takes courage. It's uncomfortable. You have to hear their answer. You have to face the impact that you've made on them. Number 2 is to voice your true opinions or beliefs. This is where I chicken out most in my life. Given opportunities for daily courage, I would say this is where I don't take advantage of the opportunity the most. But the opportunity is to be clear about your opinions and your beliefs and state them, voice them. It doesn't mean to be closed or dogmatic about them. You can always get more information, you can always learn new things, and you can always change beliefs. But to be able to articulate them and make a difference in the world with them is a huge deal. And it takes so much courage. Number 3, account for your results and your mistakes. Willing to see and account for the results that you're creating at work, at home, with yourself, your physical fitness, your mental health, your education. No matter what it is, be willing to account for the results that you're creating or not creating. Number 4, be willing to say no to the things that don't fit into your life, to the things that you're not willing to spend your time on, or to the behaviors and actions that have kept you stuck up until now. And number 5, admit when you don't know. Stop pretending. Take the mask off. Be willing to say that you don't know something. And in fact, when we admit that we don't know, that's where learning begins. The 6th way to practice courage in your everyday life is to listen to somebody without planning what you're going to say next. Be present with them. Hear them. Don't plan what you're going to say next to look good or to be right or to be in control. Just listen. Number 7, accept a compliment. If you're like me, it's so easy to deflect the nice and kind things that people say to me, to not let them sink in, to feel sheepish or embarrassed about it, but to simply look the person in the eye and to tell them thank you and what it means to you. That takes courage. And number 8, this is a huge one. Choose self-love. Loving oneself is the most courageous act. It's also the one decision that helps us live the most fulfilled existence in this life. To love yourself enough to accept who you are, but also love yourself enough to continue to develop and learn and create new disciplines and new practices. That is the most courageous thing that you can do. Every moment of every single day presents a new opportunity for me to choose courage, regardless of the confidence that I may or may not feel. I actually don't care much about confidence at all anymore. What I care about is what would require courage right now. What would require me to take bold action, even feeling the fear that I feel 1,000 times a day. So my invitation to you is to stop thinking that you need confidence. Stop working for confidence. Just stop paying attention to confidence at all. It will come when it comes. And be willing to take courage, to practice courage every single day, to take that bold action even while feeling the fear. Now that you're ready for bold action with the fear, watch this video I did about how I start way before I'm ready. Peace.